Hello, welcome to the U.S. Department of Education's Annual Performance Report, APR, Technical Assistance Webinar, held by the Native Achievement Programs team. Next slide, please. The Native Achievement Programs team is comprised of Dr. Aaron Sampson, who serves as Group Leader for Native Achievement Programs, Almeda Reed, who serves as Program Manager over the Alaska Native Education Program, Joanne Osborne, who serves as Program Manager over the Native Hawaiian Education Program, Dr. Amber Williams, who's the Program Specialist for Native Achievement Programs, and Krista Taylor, who's the Program Specialist for Native Achievement Programs. Next slide, please. Today's webinar will commence with our webinar objectives and procedures being explained, the purpose of the annual performance report, and the APR overview and walkthrough. Next slide, please. At the end of the webinar, attendees will understand the purpose of and expectations for the annual performance report process, know how to access, complete, and submit the fiscal year 2024 APR, and finally, know how to contact the Native Achievement Programs team for additional APR support. Next slide, please. Part 1, purpose of the annual performance report. Next slide. Section 75.253 of the Education Department General Administrative Regulations, known as EDGAR, requires recipients of multi-year discretionary grants to submit performance reports that demonstrate substantial progress towards meeting approved project objectives. The performance reports are designed to capture both financial and performance data. Performance reports also assist our program office in determining grantee substantial progress. The Native Achievement Program team reviews all APRs for evidence of substantial progress, and the reporting informs funding justifications for the next fiscal year. Next slide, please. The APR provides grantees with the flexibility and the ability to demonstrate how they will use the inputs and activities outlined in the project logic model to achieve their project performance measures. As you all are aware, all grantees have submitted logic models with their application and underwent a review process through our program office. Your performance measures that you report in your APR should be rooted in the content of your approved logic model. The example on this slide is from a previous grant. As you can see, the outputs are deliverables that are produced by project activities. Outcomes are measurable learning or change goals that are directly related to the overall project goal. So the example here, the first outcome shows that the grantee expects a 1% increase in language arts scores as a result of the project, which directly relates to their goal of increasing the percentage of children who are proficient in language arts. Next slide, please. So this slide is showing how from the logic model to measurable outcomes, performance measures should reflect logic model outcomes and should be written in numeric terms on the APR. Next slide, please. This is another example for you to look to when you receive the PowerPoint slides of how logic models refer to the measurable outcomes that you will be reporting through your APR submission. Further into this presentation, we will show you a direct example of the performance measures page for the forms that you would submit in your APR submission and how to document your performance measures that you have submitted to your program officers for approval for this performance year, and how you will be reporting out the data on those particular measures. Next slide, please. And now I will turn the presentation over to Dr. Amber Williams to present on part 2, preparing to complete the annual performance report. Amber?
Thank you, Erin. Next slide, please. So this is a snapshot of fiscal year 2024 annual performance reporting timeline. January 31st, that was the deadline for grantees to confirm their performance measures. If you have not done that, we do ask you to make sure that you are communicating with your program officers to ensure that the performance measures that you'll be measured by are accurate. May 14th is when the APR webinar will be available that you should be viewing now. May 28th through June 28th are when we will hold office hours if you have any questions related to today's presentation or your performance measures or budget. May 30th office hour will be dedicated to performance measure, June 6th to budget, June 13th performance measures, and June 20th will be also dedicated to budget. You will receive the links for registration for all of these office hours, so please make sure that you register so that we can ensure that you are there and we are able to answer your questions. On Friday, June 28th, the APR will close at 11:59 p.m. your time. So if I'm Alaska Native, it will close at Alaska's time, and Hawaiian natives, it will close at Hawaii time. Next slide, please. So our grants management system, as you know, has transitioned from G5 to G6. So you will still use the same system in order to complete your APR. We know sometimes it still appears as G5. So you can still use this exact same system. The 524B forms for the APRs are available on the NHE and A&E performance pages. So we always suggest that you go to those pages because even before the APR opens, those forms are still there. So you can go ahead and start to draft what it is that you will be inputting into G5. Those pages are linked here so that you can reference them. Next slide, please. So before you begin the APR, we suggest that you gather the following information. First, all baseline and project data that has been collected so far in support of your project performance measures. If applicable, you should also gather resumes for any new project directors and or fiscal agent candidates that have not yet been approved by department staff. Please remember that in order to change these personnel, you will need to contact your ed officer and send over that resume. Also, if applicable, you will need to gather a copy of your current negotiated indirect cost rate agreement if it is not currently in your grant file in G5. Next slide, please. We also suggest that you gather the following budget information. 1, the total amount awarded at the start of this budget period. The total amount expended between either September 1, 2023 through May 31st, 2024, or October 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024. These dates are determined by your GAN, so you can go there and see what your particular budget information should be. You should also have the projected amount you plan to expend by the end of your performance period. So for many of you, that may be 8/31/2024. For some of you, it will be 9/30/2024. And of course, you can also find that from your GAN. If applicable, the anticipated amount, if any, that you are requesting to carry over into the next performance period. So again, for some of you, this starts the day after your performance period ends. So for some of you, that may start September 1st, 2024, and some of you that may start October 1st, 2024. So again, make sure that you are referencing your GAN to determine those dates. Next slide, please. Ed 524B form This is the department's official APR form that is used for discretionary grants. There are 3 distinct parts for these particular forms. Part 1 is the cover sheet and summary. Part 2 is the project status, which encompasses the performance measures, the budget information, and additional information. And part 3, which is the instructions. Next slide, please. Cover sheet and summary. Next slide, please. This is an example of what part 1 should look like. You should ensure that you are completing each part of this cover sheet. It will ask you information such as about your indirect costs, your budget expenditures. This is kind of a cover sheet and summary of everything that will be in your APR. Next slide, please. You complete the Ed 524 cover sheet with the appropriate information. Instructions for items 1, 3, and 4 are included on the Ed 524B cover sheet. Instructions for items 2 and 5 and items 6 through 12 are included in the instruction sheet. So please make sure that you're referencing both what's on that cover sheet and the separate instruction sheet so that you are aware of what you should be inputting for each item. You should enter the correct reporting period again based on your GAN. And I've said this several times. Some of you may be starting in September and ending in August, while some of you may be starting in October and ending in September of the following year. Your authorized representative must sign the certification for the Ed 524B form. The certification confirms that to the best of the authorized representative's knowledge and belief that the report is true, complete, and accurate, and the expenditures and disbursements were for the purposes and objectives set forth in the terms and conditions of the federal award. And this is kind of just a checks and balances system, which is why your project director should be a person that is separate from your authorized representative. So if you are in a situation where that is not the case, we will need you to contact your program officer so that we can make that change with the resumes attached. Next slide, please. You should provide a 1 to 2 page executive summary for your annual performance report. You should provide highlights of the project's goals, the extent to which the expected outcomes and performance measures were achieved, and what contributions the project has made to research, knowledge, practice, and/or policy. Include the population served if appropriate. For the population served, please list out the schools. You should provide the NCES number and grade levels in which you provide programmatic services to for students, educators, families, or etc., whatever populations you are serving. You can locate the NCES number for schools by accessing the NCES search, which is linked here in the presentation. Next slide, please. This is an example of population served. The Reading Foundation's tutoring program served a total of 8 parents and 80 third graders in the summer and 126 graders in the fall. The Reading Foundation's project director could insert a chart and enter 80 next to parents and caregivers, and 80 next to elementary students, and 120 next to middle school students. So if you see, it's very clear here of which population is being counted. And then on the right side of the chart, you see the exact number. And then the NCES number, which of course is not listed here, but you should input that NCES number by whichever school you're speaking about concerning that particular population. If you see here for elementary students, there were 3 different schools that this particular grant served, and the NCES number should be provided for all of them. The same thing for the middle school students. There was a different school that was served there, and then the NCES number is also placed there. Next slide, please. The next section, we'll talk more about section A, which is your project status performance measures. Next slide, please. This is an example of what this form should look like. Again, you can go in and access this form on the NHE and A&E performance pages at all times. It is always there and linked for you if you want to go in and preview this form. Next slide, please. Performance measures. If complete data on performance measures for the entire current budget period have not been obtained when you submit the Ed 524B, please submit available data for the budget period to date with this report. So that means, let's just say you are submitting it now and you don't have testing data until 2 months from now. You should go ahead and report on everything else that is already available. But when this data becomes available, you should then submit that to your project director. So complete performance measures data for the current budget period should be submitted by the date you indicate in item 11B on the Ed 524B cover sheet. There are 2 types of measures that Ed may have established for the grant program. One are our GAPR measures. So those are measures that are established for reporting to Congress under the Government Performance and Results Act. And then you have your performance measures, which are measures established by the program office for the particular grant competition. You are reporting on both. Next slide, please. So for A&E, the GAPR measures are listed here. That it would be the number of grantees who attain or exceed the targets for the outcome indicators for their projects that have been approved by the Secretary, the percentage of Alaska Native children participating in early learning and preschool programs who consistently demonstrate school readiness in language and literacy as measured by the revised Alaska Development Profile, the percentage of Alaska Native students in schools served by the program who graduate from high school with a high school diploma in 4 years, and the number of Alaska Native programs that primarily focus on Alaska Native culture and language. So the GAPR measures that your program will be reporting on should already be pre-populated, and you should be able to report on the particular GAPR measure that relates to your program. Next slide, please. For NHE, the GAPR measures are as follows. The number of grantees that attain or exceed the targets for the outcome indicators for their projects that have been approved by the Secretary, the percentage of Native Hawaiian children participating in early education programs who consistently demonstrate school readiness in literacy as measured by the Hawaii School Readiness Assessment, the percentage of students in schools served by the program who graduate from high school with a high school diploma in 4 years, and the percentage of students participating in a Native Hawaiian language program that is conducted under the NHE program who meet or exceed proficiency standards in reading on a test of the Native Hawaiian language. Next slide, please. The number of this is some GAPR measure reporting guidance. So the number of grantees that attain or exceed the targets for the outcome indicators for their projects that have been approved by the Secretary. So if you have 3 approved performance measures you are reporting on, this GAPR measure is looking at how many of those 3 did you meet or exceed your set target for. So for example, if you look here, the first performance measure is that 65% of students will pass the assessment. For the target for fiscal year 2024, the target was 65%, and the actual that was met was 77%. So this particular performance measure was met. Another performance measure was 250 parents will attend the conference. For FY 2024, the target was 250, but only 175 parents were able to attend this conference, so it did not meet or exceed. For 80% of teachers will add cultural history to their curriculum, the target was 80%, 100% was met. So yes, it did meet or exceed that particular performance measures. So what this GEPR measure is asking, if they had 3 approved performance measures, how many of those met or exceeded? So here you would see that only 2 met or exceeded the performance measures that were set. So this is the way that you should be reporting on that particular GEPR measure. Next slide, please. There may be multiple performance measures associated with each project objective. You should enter only 1 performance measure per row. So you are able to renumber the pre-populated numbers that are in the form. If you have more performance measures than the 4 that are pre-populated in the boxes, you can replicate the form until you have enough boxes to document all of your measures. So for example, if you have 12 confirmed performance measures, you will need 3 copies of section A, as they only will hold 4 performance measures on each page. If you have additional copies, only complete section B, which is the budget section, on the final copy of the form. So example, the copy with performance measures 9 through 12 should have that budget section on that final form. Next slide, please. So the target and actual performance data boxes are each divided into 3 columns. The first one is the raw number, second is the ratio, and then the percentage. For performance measures that are stated in terms of a single number, for example, the number of workshops that will be conducted or the number of students that will be served, the target and actual performance data should be reported as a single number under the raw number column. For example, 10 workshops or 80 students. Please leave the ratio and percentage column blank if you are reporting in this way. Next slide, please. The target and actual performance data boxes for performance measures that are stated in terms of a percentage. So for example, percentage of students that attain proficiency. You will complete both the ratio column and the percentage column, and then you will leave the raw number column blank if you are reporting your data in this way. In the ratio column, example 80 over 100, the numerator, which is 80, represents the numerical target, the number of students that are expected to attain proficiency. So here we are expecting 80. Or actual performance data, which is the number of students that attain proficiency, and the denominator represents the universe. So that's 100 here. Example, all students served. So please enter the corresponding percentages. So for example, this will be 80% in the percentage column. So again, this will depend on the way that you are collecting and reporting on your data, but you should choose either or. You should choose to do it as an actual number or as the ratio that has been presented here. Next slide, please. So for each project objective and associated performance measure, you should indicate what data, either quantitative and or qualitative, were collected and when they were collected, the evaluation methods that were used, and how the data were analyzed. Clearly identify and explain any deviations from your approved evaluation plan, including changes in design or methodology, or the individual organization conducting the evaluation. Based on your data, please provide a description of preliminary findings or outcomes, including information to show whether you are making progress toward meeting each performance measure. Further, indicate how your performance measure data show that you have met or are making progress towards meeting the stated project objective. In your discussion, you should provide a brief description of your activities and accomplishments for the reporting period that are related to each project objective. Next slide, please. If expected data were not attained, expected progress was not made toward meeting a performance measure or project objective, or a planned activity was not conducted as scheduled, you should provide an explanation. Include a description of the steps and schedules for addressing the problem or issues. So again, we know that this is a roadmap, but anytime there is a change or you have run into a hurdle, it's very easy for us to go here and see where you are, what is happening, and your plan to rectify that particular problem or issue. You should indicate how you use your data and information from your evaluation to monitor the progress of your grant. And if needed, to make improvements to your original project plan, example, your project activities and milestones, which are consistent with your approved objectives and scope of work. Next slide, please. If the collection of quantitative data is not appropriate for a particular performance measure, please leave the target and actual performance data boxes blank and provide an explanation and any relevant qualitative data for the performance measure in the block entitled Explanation of Progress. If you are using weighted data, please indicate how the data are weighted in the block entitled Explanation of Progress. Next slide, please. Now I will turn it over to Krista Taylor, who will go over the project status budget information, which is section B. Krista.
Thank you, Amber. I will now be discussing section B and section C of the APR and your next action items for completing your APR in G5, G6. In this section, you will be reporting on your budget expenditure data in items 8A to 8C of the Ed 524B cover sheet as applicable. Please follow the instructions included in the instruction sheet. For budget expenditures made with federal grant funds, you must provide an explanation if funds have not been drawn down from the G5 system to pay for the budget expenditure amounts reported in items 8A to 8C of the Ed 524B cover sheet. If you did not expend funds at the expected rate during the reporting period, you must describe any significant changes to your budget resulting from modification of project activities and describe changes to your budget that affected your ability to achieve your approved project activities and/or project objectives. Next slide, please. Should you have any unexpended funds at the end of the current budget period, please explain why, provide an estimate, and indicate how you plan to use the unexpended funds or carryover in the next budget period. You must also describe any anticipated changes in your budget for the next budget period that requires prior approval from the department. See 2 CFR 200308 as applicable. Next slide, please. On this slide is an example of a carryover budget. The first column is the main categories of the budget. In the second column, you can report your approved budget for the entire budget period. Since you are expected to report your expenditures through 30 days prior to the due date of this report, the third column is shown as the actual expenditures up until that date. In the fourth column, planned expenditures, planned remaining expenditures is reported for this budget period. In the last column, this is where you can request a carryover if you have remaining funds from this budget period. In this example, you can see that there are two categories, supplies and contractual, that have a carryover amount requested to be used in the following budget period. Next slide, please. If you are planning on requesting carryover funds for the fiscal year 2024 funds, please provide a short justification in the budget narrative for the carryover, as well as a brief plan for how you plan to accelerate activities in fiscal year 2025 in order to reach the goals and objectives of your project as outlined in your funded application. If your carryover amount changes after you submit your APR, please email your program officer with a revised justification and carryover amount. Next slide, please. On this slide is a screenshot of the instructions provided for completing the Ed 524B. As stated previously, and as a reminder, please review Section 8 in depth for completing Section B. Next slide, please. The next section is Project Status Additional Information, Section C. Next slide, please. For this section, you will be able to describe any changes that you wish to make in the grant's activities for the next budget period that are consistent with the scope and objectives of your approved application. If you are requesting changes to the approved project director listed in Block 3 of your GAN or to other approved key personnel listed in Block 4 with proposed effective date during the remainder of the current budget period or the next budget period, please indicate the name, title, and percentage of time of the requested key personnel. Please indicate whether the proposed project director or other key personnel change would be effective during the current or next budget period. Additionally, please attach a resume or curriculum vitae for the proposed key personnel when you submit your performance report. Please do not report on any key personnel changes that were already made during the current or previous budget periods. Departmental approval must be requested and received prior to making key personnel changes. Provide any other appropriate information about the status of your project, including any unanticipated outcomes or benefits from your project. Next slide, please. This is also your opportunity to share the major activities and milestones that your staff has completed this year, as well as any notable gains in the knowledge or skills of your project participants. We encourage you to also share any obstacles or challenges that have hindered your ability to accomplish your original project goals and activities, including any extenuating circumstances brought about by COVID-19, as well as any workarounds or creative solutions that your staff has implemented to circumvent these challenges. Next slide. Part 3 is completing the report in G5. Next slide. You will be completing and submitting the Ed 524B and G5, G6, which will become available under your G5, G6 account on May 28, 2024. Please save the following information on this slide for any technical assistance relating to processing your APR in the system. Next slide, please. Your action items for the next upcoming weeks will be to download the Ed 524B forms from the A&E or NHE performance page to begin drafting your responses with applicable grant personnel. If you have not already done so, please confirm your project's performance measures by May 24th, 2024 with your program officer. You will submit your APR by June 28th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. local time for Hawaii or Alaska. If any questions arise in the upcoming weeks, please reach out to your respective program office. Next slide. As an additional reminder, the grantee satisfaction survey has been sent out on or near April 4th, 2024 from the CFI group on behalf of the Department of Education via email. This email subject line is Department of Education Grantee Satisfaction Survey 2024. The survey asks about your experience as a grant recipient of the Alaska Native Education Program or Native Hawaiian Education Program and how we can improve our services. Our office will share the results at our annual project directors meeting, and we will use the survey results to improve our technical assistance and programmatic implementation. Since department staff will not receive individual survey responses, they will have no way of knowing how individual grantees responded. While the survey is voluntary, we count on everyone's participation to provide representative results and to help us identify how to best serve you. The success of this survey depends on the extent to which our partners respond. The survey should take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete and is expected to close on Friday, May 24th, but we appreciate early responses. Next slide. Upcoming office hours and technical assistance. Office hours will be held from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the following dates. Thursday, May 30th, 2024. Thursday, June 6th, 2024. Thursday, June 13th. And then Thursday, June 20th. Registration links will be emailed to the project director and certifying official. Other team members can be invited to attend the office hours, and the registration will close one day before each office hour. I will now turn over to Dr. Erin Sampson for closing remarks.
Thank you, Krista. Next slide, please. We thank each of you for the work that you have done this grant period. If you're veteran grantees, we thank you for the work that you've done in previous grant reporting periods. If you have any questions or concerns, please make sure that you are contacting us. Make sure that you copy the program box in case your program officer is out of office for any planned or unexpected reason. The Alaska Native Education box is oese.askanap@ed.gov. The Native Hawaiian Education Program box is hawaiian@ed.gov. This is just a safety net to make sure that we are responding to you in a timely manner. But as we stated before, we also have the office hours if you want to join that to get a little bit of one-on-one or ask questions that you may be having, you or your team are having regarding performance measures and budget reporting. So please make sure that you are looking out for those registration links, and we look forward to working with you and providing technical assistance and guidance for you with your APR submission for this year. Thank you for listening in, and we look forward to reading your annual performance report.